Welcome everyone to the Glenorchy City Council Open Workshop for the 20th of July 2026. In the spirit of transparency, we hold these open workshop sessions on a regular basis to give community an insight into our decision-making processes. We're not allowed to make decisions at workshops, but what we do get is information which we then consider and we can argue and talk about. And then when we go into the council meeting with that subject in mind, we've got all the information, hopefully, that we'll need. And then it's our obligation to listen to the debate and make final decisions. I begin by acknowledging the Muwinina people as the traditional owners of this land and recognising that Tasmanian Aboriginal people are the original owners and continuing custodians of the land and waters of this island, the Lutruwita. I pay my respect to Aboriginal elders past and present. Glenorchy City Council is committed to working in a way that welcomes and respects all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. Joining me here in chambers tonight are Alderman Peter Riedler, Alderman Justin Stringer. Online we have Councillor Molly Kendall. Alderman Tim Marks is with us, Deputy Mayor Alderman Russell Yaxley, Luke Chu, Acting CEO, thank you for being here, Alderman Stephen King, Alderman Stuart Slade and Alderman Shane Alderton. We have an apology tonight from Alderman Josh Cockshut. We have two interesting subjects, topical sessions, but before we introduce them and our guest speakers, I have a few updates that we usually share before a meeting so that all aldermen are up to speed with what's been going on in the week before. The pool. Plans to celebrate the opening of the pool are well underway. The official opening will mark the return of the pool following its extensive refurbishment. Event ideas have been developed following valuable feedback from the community staff and elected members. The draft plan is being reviewed by site managers Belgravia before the details are announced to the public, but I would suggest putting both the morning of Thursday the 1st of October and Saturday the 3rd of October in your diaries. Now, for people who haven't been following this pool renovation, you can see there on the right of the screen is the disability ramp that we've installed to make sure the pool is compliant. There's been heaps of other compliant issues we've had to deal with as well. Now, I'm very excited, beyond excited as a matter of fact, to announce that the pool has been painted because that has been holding works up a little bit because of the rain. But now we have a beautiful blue pool and that means we are mostly finished with all of the scheduled works. However, Hutchinson's are now undertaking some additional works that the officers have identified as variations. These variations are not affecting the opening timeline, with the project remaining on budget, that's important, and on track for the 1st of October opening. So that's very exciting news. Now, the next subject is the electoral boundary redistribution. Last week, changes to Tasmania's electoral map were announced, which will see Glenorchy move from the federal electorate of, the federal electorate of Lyons. It should be noted at this stage that this move is only for the federal seat of Lyons, not the state seat, which is yet to be announced. As a council, we made a submission to the Australian Electoral Commission as part of its review, strongly opposing this move. We are now a city of 51,000 plus people, and we are now in an electorate which has always been a rural electorate. So I guess we didn't really understand the fit of that. I think it's going to be a genuine challenge for politicians and parties to navigate the change in the short term, both from a pure campaigning dynamic as well as ensuring they deliver policies that appeal to voters with a much bigger demographic diversity than there has ever been before. Despite this move, I can assure everyone that we as a council won't be holding back in advocating for the needs of the people of Glenorchy, regardless of what electorate we're in. Local government elections. I'm sure there's lots of people in the room who'll be quite interested in this one. The Tasmanian Electoral Commission have now confirmed the timetable for the upcoming local government elections. If you wish to stand as a candidate, nominations open at 9 a.m. on Monday the 7th of September and close at 12 noon on Monday, the 21st of September. Enrolment to vote closes at 6 p.m. on Thursday, the 10th of September. Nominations will be announced at 12 noon on Tuesday, the 22nd of September. And from Monday, the 5th of October, ballot packs will be delivered by post and voting will close at 2 p.m. on Tuesday, the 27th of October. From 9 a.m. to Wednesday, 28th of October, counting commences and results should be known soon after that. There will be a ballot box and voting assistance in the downstairs foyer of the chambers if anyone requires that service. I'm now going to move on to the 26-27 grants program. The applications are now open for the cultural celebration events and community Christmas carol events. If you are planning to hold a community carols event this Christmas or to celebrate the rich cultural diversity of our community by bringing people together through music, food, art or tradition, these grants could help make your vision a reality. Details on eligibility, funding guidelines and to submit an application can be found on our website. And now, more excitement that Fabulous Youth Hub is offering school holiday program for young people 12 to 17 in the Youth Hub. This Tuesday and Thursday from 1 to 2:30, there'll be basketball sessions on our new multi-sport court. And then on Friday from 12 to 1:30 p.m, young people can get creative with a range of fun, art and craft activities at Crafternoons. And every weekday afternoon from 3 to 5 p.m. at the Youth Hub, it is open for drop-in games to play, meet new people, listen to music or simply hang out in a safe and inclusive and welcoming space. And it's something we're immensely proud of because it's already paying dividends. We're averaging around 50 young people an afternoon and it's 50-50 girls and boys, which we've never been able to get the girls involved in anything much till now. And you can see they're just having so much fun and it prevents them from probably going over to Northgate and being a little bored or being at risk maybe near the bus mall if there's any bad behaviour going on. Claremont Park and Ride. The Claremont Park and Ride opens today. Located at Claremont Link Road between Myella Drive and Main Road, the facility includes 239 parking spaces. There it is there. That, I've got to say, that project's been very quick. Do you not think so, Acting CEO?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And Main Road. The facility includes 239 parking spaces, 12 motorcycle spaces, bike storage and all-weather bus shelters. This new facility provides more opportunities for people to access free public transport between Claremont and Central Hobart. Disappointingly, it doesn't have public loo facilities, but we'll continue to advocate for those. I think the budget was just a little short. But that should be a really good incentive for people to park and hop off the Brooker Highway. Media events. Last week I had the pleasure of speaking at the Probus Club of Moona's 50-year celebration lunch at the Carlisle Hotel. That was a wonderful event. Next Wednesday we will host our second citizenship ceremony for the month. Over the two ceremonies we are welcoming more than 150 new citizens to Glenorchy. On Saturday the 1st of August, Council will host a free community event on the council lawns to celebrate connection, inclusion and belonging. Ticket to the KG5 will include free food, entertainment and the AFL Tasmania giveaways. Following the event, participants will be encouraged to attend the Glenorchy versus Brighton football match at KG5. On Wednesday the 5th of August from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m, join us for a warm and welcoming community event to bring people together during the cooler months. Come to our Youth Hub space to enjoy a free hot lunch, live entertainment, family-friendly activities and connect to local organisations offering practical support, advice and services. Also on Wednesday the 5th of August, Council will host a public forum to discuss the Moona Main Road amenity project. This forum will be held at the Moona Arts Centre from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. and will be well worth attending if you want to see the amazing plans and the excitement we're building for the Moona shopping strip. This afternoon we have two workshop sessions. Firstly, we will hear from Eleanor Lord from the Australian Bureau of Statistics Census Inclusive Strategies team, that's a nice big title, about the upcoming Australian census, which will happen on the 11th of August. And then Lisa Rudd and Warren Yates from the community team will provide us with an outline of Council's Art in Public Spaces project. So firstly, can I welcome Eleanor to come and join us at the table? Christine, were you involved in this as well? No.
No, I just chatted to Eleanor and got her along.
I've
Thank
seen
you. Through your slides.
Thank you. My colleague's an apology today, so and it's a new presentation, and I know half of it quite well, and the other half less, so I'm going to refer to my notes. Thank you for having me. So it's a census year. I think you've sort of done most of my presentation for me, really. You've told everybody what the population of Glenorchy is, and you've told us it's on the 11th of August. So that is pretty much it.
Yes.
But
You can tell us why we need information and how much effort you go to in tracking down
we do
people
go,
of
we
no
do go
fixed
through
address.
quite a bit. It's true. So also extend my respect to the Milanina people. So every 5 years, of course, the census, national count of every person and home in Australia gives us a snapshot and helps all levels of government to make decisions as well as businesses and community organisations plan for the future. Collects information on age, country of birth, language, education, and employment, and helps us understand Australia's social, cultural and economic makeup. It's often referred to as Australia's largest peacetime activity, which I think is quite nice. And it is in 21 days, so 3 weeks, and it's on the 11th of August. And you can actually complete the census online from today. There's already been a few people that are very keen, that know where they'll be on the 11th of August, that have completed it. So I don't think I need to sell the value of the census to council, but hopefully you'd agree that it gives us some of the most valuable information about Australia. And it's useful.
Maybe not so much to council, but we have a lot of online people and guests in the audience. So yeah, a little bit of explanation would be really good.
Yeah, sure. So it's used for things big and small, planning for schools, healthcare, local services for individuals, families, communities, and underpins the official population statistics and is the only estimate of homelessness data. Doesn't just provide the demographic counts though, it's a point of time snapshot of Australia. Provides a picture of the cultural diversity that we know is so important to Glenorchy, and only a census can provide that information for the entire country, including providing that data for small geographical areas and small population groups, such as First Nations people, people experiencing homeless and the culturally and linguistically diverse communities. Everyone needs to participate in the census, from newborn babies to, except for foreign diplomats, I think is about one of the only exclusions. And there was an independent report by Lateral Economics that found the benefits of the census substantially outweigh its cost, and that for every dollar invested, $6 of value was generated by the Australian economy. Obviously, someone far cleverer than I have done those maths, but that's apparently the outcome of that report. And obviously, yeah, plays a critical role in improving Australia's economic and social infrastructure. So Sue already ruined this one for me. So
She does.
it's 50,000. So it'd be interesting to see what happens with that in the 2026 census. But this one you might not know. Does anyone want to have a guess at the most common occupation for Glenorchy in 2021 out of those 3 options?
The first one.
Correct. Well done, Sue. Apologies to anyone triggered by the Clarence little map there. I did try and get a screenshot of Glenorchy today, but the map service was down. Very, very sad news. Quick Stats will be no more as of 2027. And it will be replaced by this ABS data maps. I can't tell you much about it because it hasn't been soft launched yet, but it will be released ahead of the first tranche of data in June next year. But basically, you will still be able to get the same information at a glance. It will just be on a slightly different format. So lots of people ask us why it takes so long to get the data out, which is a very fair question. And And that's because it's a huge undertaking, obviously, and we get the results in various formats, on paper as well as online. So up until November of this year, we'll still be getting responses in the post. And so the first tranche of data will come out June 2027, and then October, and then early to mid the following year. In Tassie, we're doing drop off and mail out, and people will start receiving their unique code in the post from next week. Lots of ways to participate, online, on paper. You can call and get help over the phone, or you can come to a pop-up hub or an information session that we'll be doing around the place, including at Glenorchy Library. So if there's any different ways that you can think of that you could do it, you could probably do it. Obviously, privacy is very important for the ABS. It's the highest priority, and the personal information is protected under the Privacy Act and the Census and Statistics Act. Obviously, a lot of the workforce are casual, and there is a huge number of undertakings that they need to make to be able to do this work. But importantly, census information not shared with anyone, including any other government agencies. So my gig is inclusive strategies. So thank you, Christine, for having us and for providing lots of information about various communities that you work with. So we work with have a colleague who is the state manager for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, and we've done various work with that community throughout Tassie, those communities throughout Tassie. And the idea is that we'll, be a trusted and accessible, culturally appropriate way of getting your information to us. We'll also have a homelessness state manager, and we'll do the homelessness estimate through a number of different avenues, including a special short form, so they're not handed the entire census during Rough Sleeper Week or Homelessness Week. There's trained community field officers that go out and use this special short form to get a number of data points from that population. And then people staying in crisis accommodation and shelters, they work with establishment officers within those places of residence to get that information, and couch surfers and people living in severely overcrowded dwellings, that gets captured in the normal census household form. There's also a number of resources available for culturally and linguistically diverse communities online and in person. We'll have a number of in-language census completion events, like fill in the form sessions, and a number of in-person support sessions. Can I get you to pull up the census website? Is that going to be very disruptive? They've just released a bunch of resources online, so it might be good to just show you where they are, and to show you the face-to-face support pop-up hub map that's available. Thank you. Old school. We have a whole hour. So in this help and support tab, there's a bunch of options down here. So you can complete the census with this. So you can either, if you know where you're going to be on Tuesday, the 11th of August, you can do it now, or you can wait until you get your unique code in the post. This Get Help Near You is where there's a map to see the events in. Spell that wrong. So they're still loading them, but there's a bunch already listed for Glenorchy, including at the library. At different times. And when the culturally and linguistically diverse sessions have been confirmed, they'll also pop up on the map. Sorry, I'm really struggling with this navigation. You do well. So you can request a paper form online if you don't want to be included in the household form. There's information for people living with disability that might need extra help to complete it or help in a different way to complete it. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander language support for people experiencing homelessness. And if you're away on census night or you have an unoccupied dwelling, a holiday home or a shack, you can complete away on census night so that you don't keep getting letters in the post asking you to complete it. Now that there's all this additional information on there, it's quite a useful place to go and check it out. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you. So yeah, we've tried to make it accessible as possible, the census, and including having these in-person events. You probably remember there was some new questions added to the census this year, and there was an expert advisory panel convened for both of those. Over 1,000 pieces of feedback were received, and there's a question on so the number of children ever born question has been returned to decennial, and the ancestry question has been expanded. And then there's a new topic on gender, sexual orientation for people over 16 years and over. And for that reason, that's one reason it's good to know that there's a personal form available in case people don't want to be included on their household form.
Can I just go back to that sentence? I'm usually pretty good with language, but I'm not certain I understood. What is that number of children ever born question returned to decennial?
So it used to be asked every 5 years, and it's now being asked every 10 years.
Ah, right.
The number of children ever born.
So that means it's stillborn as well, or it does?
So the separate form, as I say, is important. You can get that, you can request that online, you can call the contact centre, and if there's a private form received and a household form, the information on the private form will supersede what's on the household form for that individual. So yeah, we've tried to make it accessible as possible with Auslan guides. The website is obviously WK compliant. You can request braille forms. There's lots of resources, MP3 recordings and videos. And you don't have to complete the census in one sitting if you wanted to go away and come back. That's very possible. And that's about me, so thank you. Anyone have any questions?
Yeah. Any questions for Eleanor? So I saw Alderman King moments before, Alderman Alderton.
What happens if people don't fill in or don't want to fill it in?
Yeah, there are fines.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how well enforced they are, but they can be enforced. I think it's like $222 a day, or it used to be. Yes, there certainly are some people that don't want to, and I've come across many sovereign citizens in my census gig the last year that are insisting that they won't complete it.
Where do they stand, sovereign citizens? Oh, well, not that, there's no one get tied up on that. But
Sorry, what was the question?
I was going to say, where do they stand, sovereign citizens?
Well, I mean, my point was that they probably want the data. Like, how many of there are you? You know?
Interesting
But
question.
they didn't enjoy that argument.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, all I can say is that, yeah, there are fines.
Well said.
Yeah.
Well said. Thank you.
Shane?
Yes, thank you. Yes, it's certainly evolved. I've worked in 3 censuses almost 20 years ago now. It's certainly evolved from your paper form. It was just starting to evolve to online content when I did my last census. One question I have for you, you've got the opportunity now to do it early, online, but then you get an identifier number down the track. So I'm just wondering, how does that work if you do it online when I know how the system works and your household's tied in with that identifier number? How are you going to link up to somebody who's done it early and not continually hound them, hey, this identifier number hasn't completed their census?
Yep.
So how are you going to align those two?
Yeah, so they do, if you're creating it ahead of time and you're, clicking on I want to complete, and then you create your own number, or the system will create your own number. You'll be asked to keep a record of it, so that when you get your unique code in the post, you can then let them know that you have actually completed it. But the idea is, if you've completed it ahead of time, ahead of the letters going out, then the idea is you shouldn't get a letter to your residents. Yeah, and
It's something that was talked about years ago, because the biggest enemy of the census is Australian Post. That they always get, 5 to 3% of mail misplaced, misdirected or lost or whatever. So there was talk about Citizens of Australia having a permanent unique identifier number for life. So you decided all these years later to still not go down that path?
no, I've not heard it mentioned this census.
Oh, it was a number of years ago it was mentioned. When they did the very first hybrid census of both mail out forms and online, had a few problems when I worked for them. And they did talk at one stage about giving people a unique number, and you kept that unique number for life rather than mailing you out numbers every 5 years.
Yeah.
So that hasn't evolved into anything, obviously.
No, but yeah, I mean, like Centrelink, you've got one number for life.
Yeah.
haven't you? So,
A bit like a Medicare number.
yeah, no, I haven't heard any mention of that this time round. Yeah, who knows what 2030 census is going to look like.
So Eleanor, that was quite surprising, the amount of resources you have to make sure there's no excuse for someone not being able to fill in the form. I'm particularly interested in the homelessness ones because I know that can be very difficult. The other thing was, my reflection from the last census was that there was a large, I think it might have been in Glenorchy, but whether it was across Australia, a larger increase than was expected in people identifying as Aboriginal.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I remember anyway. Any other sectors that were surprised last time?
Oh, look, not from the work that I've done that I've come across particularly. But I think it will always surprise us, when you drill down into that data. Table Builder's a very powerful product. I mean, I don't use it to its capacity, certainly, but it's worth doing some splicing and dicing on that. And yeah, I think that will for most of us, I think that'll probably replace Community Profile as our kind of go-to. I'm devastated about Community Profile going. It was just so quick and easy. But yeah, I think we'll all cope with Table Builder and the new ABS data maps. But yeah, I'm sure there'll be some surprises in 2026's data.
Yes. Do you think they'll get down to a point where they're sort of identifying people with who might be neurodiverse, that sort of thing, so that we can provide better health services?
Yeah, it's possible. I don't think the data is necessarily that granular. Like a disability, it's not cut and dry. There's different ways that you can look at that data to determine people with disability. And also, of course, some people with neurodivergence don't
Want to identify them?
identify as that as a disability. So yeah, tricky.
So are there any questions from our elected members? No? Well, we have quite a few audience participants, which is great. Does anyone have a question for Eleanor they'd like to get an answer to?
No,
Yes,
it's
Pam.
a stupid question, but initially, how are they going to get the information? We're talking about computers, we're talking about paper. How do they know where I live and who I am?
Yeah.
Like in a census, you go to a knock on the door and you say, this is your form, and it's on street numbers. But there doesn't seem to be any, I can't understand the connection, how they're going to find who I am or where I am.
Yeah, so they'll send you a letter in the post.
Yeah. How do they know who's living with me or whatever?
Well, they don't. That's why we're doing it, the census. So they'll ask you a number of questions about the people that are in the house with you, but in the post you'll receive a unique number, which you can either plug that in online and complete it that way, or you can call and request a paper form and complete it in hard copy if that's what you prefer. And on the form itself, it'll have person 1, person 2, person 3. So you'll put in the responses for each.
So you're sending it by mail to everybody.
In Glenorchy, everyone will get one in the post. Will get a unique number in the post. But if you don't want to complete it online, you can request a paper form, or you can come to one of our events and we'll help you complete it. There's a bunch of information sessions and fill in the forms. questions at the library.
And I have a feeling that I don't understand how you're going to decide that you have covered everywhere if you haven't got people actually taking the number, the street number, whatever of that person.
So there are field officers, so that,
Yeah.
but they are only deployed if there are a number of non-responses in the area. So then they'll go and knock on doors and say, "Did you get your census form? Can we help you complete the census form?" But that won't happen until, you know, some weeks after the census. Yeah. But I think it's probably worth coming into the library and having a chat.
I know how it works because I've done it lots of times.
Yeah.
But I have delivered them lots of times, and that's what makes me not sure how people are going to get it necessarily.
Yeah.
Because if you've got unit 1, whatever, of 23 or whatever like that, there's a lot of those that get confused in the mail and whatever. So I just wondered how you are going to check that everybody has got. If they don't get them, they won't bother ringing you up to ask. A lot of people.
That is very true. Yeah. So yes, we do. There is a reliance on Australian Post.
And it's not your business anyway, so I'm not telling you. That's a standard.
That's not the attitude, Pam.
That's what they are. They are.
Still offering privacy envelopes or not?
Sorry.
Still offering privacy envelopes?
Absolutely. So when we send out, so people requesting a hard copy form, they'll be sent a return envelope, privacy envelope to return. But in some of the more regional areas, we are sending people out knocking on doors. But yeah, within the more urban, you know, metropolitan
So
areas.
you're getting it off the electoral roll or the address. How do you actually get the piece of paper to that person or to that home?
So by the post.
Yeah,
So we know the buildings that exist, and we know how many, you know, units are in each apartment building, for example. So each of the apartments would be sent a letter with a unique code, and there's only one per household, so one per apartment block or one per house. And then if someone wants to request a separate form because they want to maintain their privacy and do their own form, they can do that as well.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yes, thank you, Marla.
Right, so the question of gender, because this is a fairly newish sort of thing, has that been formalised, or does somebody just put in what they identify as?
It has been formalised. There is a number of guides online about how to answer that question. In terms of gender, in the first instance, so there's actually 2 questions around gender, and then there's a sexual orientation question. How they want you to answer the first question is your gender at birth, and then in the second question, it's, you know, how you identify. So that tells the story between birth and how you now identify. So there's lots of information online around the gender question.
I guess my question is, do they actually have to go and register in an ID document as, let's say, I identify as transgender? Would I have to go and formalise that before I put that on the census form? Or just could be what's floating around in my head? Exactly that. Okay.
So as I said, there's 2 questions around that, but so the first question, the intention is that you answer that as how your gender as recorded on your birth certificate.
Birth, right.
And then the second question is around the story.
Thank you.
I think that's widely accepted in many things like hospitals, etc. I just had to fill in a medical form and it asked me, you know, what I identified as, so I don't think that's a big issue. Yes, Alderman Sloan.
I was just wondering, it's a wonderful way of collecting DNA from people. Does an agency or agencies take interest at all in that?
Sorry, does who take interest in that?
Any agencies?
We don't release the information to anyone. So it's all completely private. It's not,
So
it's
there's
not
no
something that we would.
no requests made for certain documents chasing somebody's DNA?
No, everything is unidentifiable.
Right.
Until it gets to that 100-year mark where you can have your census details released. But no, we're not releasing information to anyone.
Thank you.
Molly. Sorry, thank you, Deputy. Molly Kendall, our councillor Molly Kendall's online with a question. Hello, Molly.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the presentation. It's such important information, so I really appreciate your presentation. Just a quick one, wondering if we can have some resources or a presence potentially at our citizenship ceremonies, some information about the fact that the census is coming up and how people participate.
Yeah, absolutely. When is the next one, Molly? Do you know?
Next Wednesday.
Yeah. Sure, I'll come along. Or maybe Andy Clark, who you know. I'll have a chat. We'll be at Winter Warmers as well, actually. So yeah, but I think we'd love to come along.
Thank you.
Great.
Thanks.
Thanks.
I'll send you an invite.
Cheers. Thanks, Molly.
So any other questions from, I can't believe it, Eddie. I can't believe it. Let me down. Eddie's a
Just
notorious.
trying to work out whether he's male or female.
You're right, mate, so.
Okay. All right. Oh, sorry. Yes.
For those people who are, I live in a complex of 55 homes. There are several people in our complex don't have a smartphone, have no access to computers, and they don't have any transport. So how do they get around filling the form out?
Yeah. Is it like a residential aged care facility or supported independent living? Is there like, yeah. So the establishment officer will be someone that's within the premises that has sort of been recruited by census staff, and they will make sure that residents complete it. So it's similar in nursing homes, you know, in residential aged care facilities. Yeah, supported independent living, disability and aged. Yeah, there's lots of provisions made. And similarly in boarding houses, and we recognise that you know, literacy can sometimes be an issue, and so that's why effort is used so that you know people are able to get some help.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Well, Eleanor, that was very interesting, and
It's
thank you.
probably more interesting than I thought it was going to be. So thanks for your questions.
Well, I'm very glad you turned up. It's important work. Thank you very much. Now, for the second part of our open workshop, we are going to be discussing art in public places. And this is sort of how we cheer up the city and the thinking that goes on behind it. It's not just like, you know, find an artist and throw it on a wall. It's actually quite serious work. And we have a very serious staff here, Lisa Rudd and Warren Yates, to take us through this program.
Thank you,
The
Ma'am.
current version of this.
Yeah. Maybe not serious, but passionate.
Passionate.
I take my passion seriously.
Yes.
Yeah. For those who don't know me, my name is Lisa Rudd. I'm a community development officer, and Inclusive Cities is my portfolio. I also have a background in community art, and I'm very, very, as I said, passionate about the power of art to bring people together. So we're naming our project Glenelg, the Heart of Stories, because behind nearly every artwork, there always is a story. And some people don't feel comfortable telling their story, but they are happy to share it through imagery rather than words and talking to people. This is about creative placemaking, creating time and moments for people to pause and ponder and linger longer. And that's connected to space activation and making places in our community feel safer. As I mentioned, it's meaningful imagery, capturing stories that evoke a sense of belonging, unity, and empathy. So I've mentioned some of these. I've witnessed firsthand the power that art has to bring people together. I've seen it after the Black Saturday bushfires in Victoria, where we lost 167 people and our communities were crumbling. And we found out that art was a gentle way, a non-confronting way to bring people together. So I know the power of it. It's recognising that everyone has their own story, but sometimes not the voice to express their stories. This is about utilising the arts to bring people together, celebrating belonging. And as I mentioned, art can really improve the perception of safety in public places because people tend to stay longer where they feel safe and comfortable. It's about beautification of space and graffiti reduction. Glenorchy City Council is a welcoming city, so this contributes to that. It's about, as I said, creating spaces where people pause and ponder and linger longer, and that's connected to space activation. I'll speak about community cultural development shortly, and also about community art. And also we'll discuss the concepts of Sonder, which is a relatively new word that some of you might not have heard of yet. And as I mentioned, this is also about creative placemaking. I love these two quotes. One's Banksy, who's an extremely famous, worldwide known person, an artist. And he says that outside is where art should be, amongst us, where it can act as a public service, provoke debate, voice concerns and forge identities. Don't we want to live in a world made of art, not decorated by it? And what I think he's saying there is, yes, you have art galleries. People have to go to the art galleries to see the art, whereas art in public places, the art is taken to where the people are. And also Albert Einstein said a true test of a city's vitality is not in its commerce, but in its art. Now, I mentioned the concept of Sonder. This is something I came across when I was researching. It's a relatively new word, but it's something we probably all experience at some time. It's that sudden awareness that everyone you pass by is living a life full of experiences, emotions, routines, struggles and dreams, just as rich and as detailed as our own. It is really about encouraging a deeper sense of appreciation of the complexities of human life and the interaction of individual experiences and stories. Community art initiatives provide excellent opportunities to explore and share the wonders of Sonder. So I mentioned community cultural development and community art. So what is culture? A lot of people think that art is culture, but the true essence of culture is it's anything that contributes to making a person or a community who they are. It could be family, friends, food, religion, access to transport or not having access to transport, your work, and your life experiences or trauma you may have experienced in your life. Cultural development means exploring, supporting, and questioning and celebrating cultures. And then in our case, what we're looking at is taking that next step, and we're looking at community cultural development, which brings different cultural groups together to build connections, belonging, identity, and encourages participation in community life and supporting positive social changes. Now, as I mentioned, community art is a passion of mine, an area I've worked in for many years. This provides increased understanding, respect, empathy, and harmonies within and between communities, strengthening senses of belonging and inclusion through connection to people and place. People feel heard, included through the process of sharing stories and creating art. And it definitely has, there's evidence to show that it improves mental health and wellbeing. Now I have a movie here, short film. I was really privileged to work on this art project in the city of Glenorchy. It was the eyes that were in Cooper Street, which were recently had to be replaced because they were too damaged to be restored. So this is a short film.
And sorry, not damaged through graffiti.
Oh, not damaged through, it was through water damage. Yes, thank you, Meg. Yes, people were very passionate, and when they knew that we were going to have to replace that mural, they stepped forward. And luckily Jarman was able to incorporate some of the concepts from that original mural, because he created that mural with the community, into the new mural. But I am going to be working with Coda to make a new mural using an intergenerational process, the same as this one here.
Just one more.
Yep.
In the northern suburbs of Hobart, students like Molly are adding final touches to their mural.
cinema art's like dedicated to my sisters because they're a really big part of my life. So I decided that the colours in my eyes and like the silhouette was going to be about them.
Most of these people have never done any street art before, but the experience isn't just about painting. It's also about connecting generations.
I don't know anything about street art because it's a different kettle of fish. You're doing things on a bigger scale and you're painting kind of vertically, you know.
The group is made up of teenagers and people over 60 years old.
I think it's so encouraging, and that's the vibe in the room is just magic. He's teaching me lots. He sort of picks up the skills very quickly and is able to sort of transfer them on to other people, which is great. That's one of the things I enjoy about this kind of exercise.
It's not about being good. It's about having a goal, you know. Yeah, just give it a go. Who knows, you know, then you get better as you go along.
The group is being led by local artists who help them design and create a mural. It's been organised by the local council as well as the Council on the Ageing to help combat ageism.
Every initiative that strives to bring people from diverse groups together to collaborate on projects creates that sense of community and of belonging, which is so important to all of us.
We've been learning about each other and learning about what it's like to be young and what it's like to be at the other end of your life, and dispelling any of those sort of myths and stereotypes that might come with that.
It's great to be able to work with other generations and share their ideas and experiences.
Doesn't matter what their age group is, or how old they are, that you can learn something from everybody.
The group hopes that the mural will not only stimulate conversation, but that it will also become a place where the Glenorchy community wants to hang out.
We were thinking about this place, why we're putting a mural here and what it will add to it, what's missing. And the group as a whole decided the place was a little bit unloved. There was a sort of lack of care.
When you actually come together as people and work on something collaboratively and you actually team up to get a result, all of those isms go away.
Just the general excitement that has grown over the 6 days that we've been here has been really, really lovely to see.
I think I've learned that I can pick up lots of stuff still. You know, I can learn stuff.
Old dogs can learn new tricks.
That's right.
Maren Preuss, ABC News.
Wow, that's fabulous.
Yes, yeah, I was involved with that, and yes, it was very powerful to watch young people walk in to their very first session. We held 1 week session over in what's now the Jobs Hub in Church, and everyone worked together to come up with the concept, and then together those generations created that artwork. And again, so many stories came out that are within that artwork. So I think Why Art in Public Places, that video explains beautifully what the power of art can do. And again, like just having something creative that draws you in, like you're looking at the words and wondering what's this about. So it just makes you pause and ponder. And why not art in public places? This is on the southern wall here at Council, and that's by Kelvin Ball, photographed by Kelvin Ball, who works with Council. And that hideous box on the left there is going to have that signage that's on the right, which has the artist's statement or story. With relation to social media, Katja, who's our that manages all our social media, did some deep research into the views. So there were 4 posts on the Cooper Street mural, and that received 52,453 views. The Mushroom mural had 1 posting, and it had 21,000, nearly 22,000 views, which made it one of Council's highest performing art-related projects, reflecting strong community appreciation for creative placemaking and public art initiatives. It shows by the the interaction of the public with these Facebook posts, that this type of work really does resonate with our communities. So these are recently completed works. Again, the one in Cooper Street, the other end wall of Busmore, wall end of Council. And then we've got in the centre there, that is a rotational exhibition art space. So those images will change every 3 months. The next ones I'm hoping will be artworks produced through the youth centre. We've got our traffic signal boxes. So it's all coming together really nicely. And as I said, the feedback from the public has been very encouraging. This is the bus mall. This is a work in progress down in bus shelter down in Claremont. It started off as that mess up in the top left-hand corner. I've worked with Metro. They've replaced all the cladding. They've repainted it. The seating's been fixed. And council has arranged a licensing agreement with an artist to install these murals as a vinyl wrap. So the artist is Anastasia. I went to a Refugee Week event at MCOT, Multicultural Council of Tasmania in Moona, and Anastasia's artwork was on display. But she stood up and told her story about what the artworks meant to her, and it really resonated with me. So on behalf of council, I approached Anastasia and she agreed that we could we'd purchase 5 of her artworks to use in different locations across the city of Glenorchy. So works in progress. The final thing that's going to be done down in the Cooper Street area is in installation of seating so people can sit and gather and enjoy the mural. We're looking at putting a painted mural by an artist just outside of council here next to the new youth hub. And on the right-hand side, we're working with Tas Networks to address the graffiti issue on this traffic signal box in Tolosa Street. And that's in association with Dominic School, and the young people are going to design that mural. So the mural is created by the young people who will drive past it or pass by it every day on the way to and from school. We're also a work in process is the Glenorchy Bus Mall. This art concept's still under development, but it'll be vinyl wraps on the wind petition sections. And also you notice in the top left-hand corner of the actual bus shelter itself, there'll be some artworks placed there as well. So just a quick overview. Not everyone's familiar with the process of using vinyl wraps. The thing with vinyl wraps is it really opens up who can be involved in creating the art. So it makes it more accessible to all members of the community, from young people to older people, photographers, all sorts of digital art, and also to artists who paint images that can then be photographed in high resolution and then vinyl wrapped onto whatever surface we're working with. It works well on brick, plies or steel. And I won't run you through all the pros and cons, but yeah, there's a lot to be said for the benefits and versatility of all these, of the vinyl wrapped installation processes. So I mentioned earlier right at the start the power of art to bring communities together. And when we think about these processes, we shouldn't just think about it as paintings on walls or on structures. There's so many more elements that community art can have. You can have art in the environment. You can set up art treasure trail hunts. We can have wearable art. We could wear our heart on our sleeves. You can have pop-up and temporary space activation, which is really a great way to test how a proposed initiative will work in a space, and you can get feedback before something becomes permanent. It can be craft circles, clay or mosaic murals, community gardens that incorporate art installations. And we can also have events showcasing the work of community artists and provide workshops so that the community can participate. So as I mentioned, community art is far more than the creation of art or images. It has the power to bring people and communities together. I have another short film for you.
Have a heart, have a heart, have a heart. 16, 6, 6, 6, and I'm not apart. You are the river flow, and we can never know. We're just a random man, you make the wind blow. Keep thinking about every straight face, yes. Wonder what your boyfriend thinks about your faces. What about them? I'm all about them. 6th Street is cutting in the bathroom. So this is it then. You hear the wind say, take sunlight, see you on the wind. You're all alone, friend. Pick up the phone, then ring, calling my phone, my emotions. So this is it then. You hear the wind say, take sunlight, see you on the wind. You're all alone, friend. Pick up the phone, then ring, calling my phone, my emotions. Have a heart, have a heart, have a heart. 16, 6, 6, 6, and you fell apart. You form a terror path, and I'm aware of that. But we could fist fight, drunk like a bear trap. Keep thinking out every straight face, yes. Wonder what your boyfriend thinks about your faces. We never blink, see, and you can see me. We fell asleep in the middle of the fury. So this is it then. You hear the wind say, take sunlight, see you on the wind. You're on the wind, I'll pick up the phone, then ring, calling my phone, my emotions. So this is it then. You hear the wind say, take sunlight, see you on the wind. You're on the wind, I'll pick up the phone, then ring, calling my phone, my emotions. Have a heart, have a heart, have a heart. 16, 6, 6, 6, and I'm not apart. You are the river flow, and we can never know. We're just the weatherman, you make the.
So that art was used to address bullying. That's just one example of bringing people together to explore, discuss what needs to happen, what needs to change to address issues that we no longer want to see happening in our communities. So have a look at these images here. We're talking about creating art that people can become a part of. They can contribute to the creation, but if they don't have the opportunity to contribute to the actual creation of the art, they can still place themselves within the art and become part of it. So yeah, people becoming a part of art and its stories, art connecting people to places. Any questions?
Elected members first, any questions?
Just great presentation. Great presentation, thank you.
Yeah. And one of the highest feedbacks we're getting lately is the beautification of the city and these amazing murals that are popping up everywhere. So it's adding a lot of pleasure to people's days. Thank you. Anyone from our audience? Would you put a question? Yes, Ms. Crew.
Burning question.
Burning, okay.
Burning question, yes. I'd like to know how much the John Cluss project cost.
Yep, is that, yes?
$47,392, but I would like to say that includes all of the preparation. So there was the replacement. We had to remove the paint, repair the wall. Yes, probably half of that was infrastructure repairs. Yeah, that'd be about right, wouldn't it? Yeah. So around, I would say $27,000 for 2 artists who worked for probably 4 weeks.
Right, because art is such a subjective thing, you know, it can be very polarizing for some people as well. You know, not everybody appreciates the same sort of thing. Just a little comment, Chair, if you'd allow me to do that. I think that was wonderful having that collaboration between the older people and the young people, getting schools involved, instead of actually paying established artists. I've known John Klaas for about 20 years, and you know, when he was just a young, struggling chap, he was taking stuff. But I think it's important to just get into schools and getting those people involved, because we have far more pressing issues in the northern suburbs. I mean, it's beautiful. I love art, but by the same token, I'd actually like to see some of the properties that are lying vacant being renovated and given to needy people.
That's very valid, Ms. Crew. I think that that particular one in Edie Street was so loved. It was such a beautiful mural. And as the wall and the water came through the background and it started to decay and bits were falling out of it, and it really didn't look at all. It actually was denigrating the city. It made us look slum-like. And one of the philosophies I really believe in is fix the broken window, be proud of your city, tidy it up, keep it clean, make it inspiring and colourful and a place to be that you actually like to be in, and that helps make it safer. It's known that murals will decrease people adding graffiti on them, ugly graffiti obviously, and so I hear you. There's always pressing needs for any council, but part of it is restoring pride in the city of Glenorchy and getting people to enjoy and to come back, particularly into the retail spaces, and feel safe. The housing problem, the homeless problem, the lack of food, that is just going to go on. And yes, we must address it every single day in every way we all can. But we have to be able to do a multitude of things. We have to be able to build toilets, and we have to do artwork, and we have to mow lawns, and we have to fix the plumbing and flooding and fix the field sports and things like that. So you're absolutely correct. There's lots of pressing issues. But if we go back to the one in Claremont, that little bus shelter would be the biggest complaint I've had in 3 years. People out there felt ashamed of it. They said it was a terrible entrance to Claremont. They asked me. In the end, I think the officers will attest that I was threatening to go down there with a can of red paint and paint it myself. And the thing is, we don't own these shelters, so it's not ours to actually have to do up. But in the end, with negotiations with Metro, it's been repainted. It's going to be tarted up with some friendly art, and it's going to be a joy to go as an entrance point into the city of Claremont, taking it from that slummy sort of feeling to a city of pride. So I think we can do both. Yeah. Okay, anyone else got a question from the elected officials? No, Molly? No. Well, if you come back online, Molly. Yes, and from our audience.
Who actually funds the artwork?
It's ratepayers. It comes out of that, unless we get grants.
And the second question is, if you know of a wall or something that you think could benefit from artwork in Claremont, how does one go about contacting or putting that application in?
You can write to the mayor. You can write to the service centres, GCC Mail. We'd love to have feedback back, and as I say, not all of these things have to be expensive named artists. We have loads of programs and loads of opportunity. We did one at Cosgrove High School in a project with the youth there on their basketball court, And they designed it and had an artist to lead, because you have to have somebody to lead, and it also has to have workplace safe restrictions around it. But yeah, there's lots of those sort of projects that we're doing all over the place. And the more that we can get community involved in the projects, the better.
The complex I live in is actually owned by Loretto, and it's that long grey wall that as you drive in the northern suburbs.
Is that the one that when they first built that subdivision, they put the photos
That's
of the
right,
residents?
that's the
That
one,
was
yes.
fabulous.
Yeah, that was one of the pictures.
Ah, great.
But they were only temporary, they were only
Yeah.
over there for the weekend, and they started to deteriorate. We used to get a lot of graffiti on that wall until somebody in the neighbourhood would come down and paint over the graffiti every time it would go up, and it stopped. But it's just such a long grey wall, it would be an ideal project. When I go down to the northern suburbs, you go past Claremont High School. Yeah. It's on the left-hand side. You can't miss it.
It was certainly attractive when it had all your faces on it. It's a pity it was done in paper.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that'll give Lisa heaps to think about. Anyone else like to make a comment? No? Okay, well, that'll, sorry, Eddie. Thank you. And I think Molly had a question too. We'll have to come back to Molly.
Good question. So far, the locations just seem to be opportunistic. We found a wall here, we found a space there. Is there some sort of overall strategy, like now you've done the first one bus shelter, you're going to sort of work your way through the rest?
Yes, Lisa, I am.
Well, it was lovely to hear you put forward a suggestion, because that's what we want. We want people to come forward. It's a lot easier if it's on a council-owned structure. If it's on a shared structure, it takes, like with Metro and Tas Networks, we have to set up MOUs and work together. But I have found that these organisations are really keen to address the graffiti issues. So therefore, having art there. We've had art wraps, vinyl wraps in the community for probably nearly 4 years. No graffiti on them, none. As soon as one of the the traffic signal boxes got replaced, so it didn't have any artwork on it, we got it tagged, whereas there's not been a tag there for 3 years.
I think it's an underlying agreement between the taggers and the artists that once something goes up, they don't.
It's respect.
It's respect.
Yeah. And we need as much respect as we can get. Yeah. Thank you, Eddie. Another question?
So the obvious question for us, Matt, is why doesn't the council simply take responsibility for these bus shelters?
Because
if potentially they are all venue locations for all these artworks,
I think,
simply take them over.
yeah, I think it would cost us a fortune. Obviously, we are so cross that we've been trying to get through with Metro for many, many years. They don't apparently have any spare money, and they see it as our asset. We see it as their asset, and this has gone on for many years. But I think there's a time when they just get so bad that they need cheering up, and the one at Claremont was massive. But do you have any opinion on that, Luke?
Only that bus shelters are the responsibility of Metro. There's a handful, such as the bus wall, which we have taken responsibility for, but otherwise they are the responsibility of Metro. So I guess it's a little bit of a slippery slope to start taking responsibility for other agencies' infrastructure in terms of where that stops, in terms of cost of ratepayers. That's why we try to work with them on improvements rather than take full responsibility.
Yes, if money wasn't a problem, we would have every one of those Telstra signal boxes and the network ones, you know, the little ones that are green. There's always an opportunity for someone to tag those. We would cover them all. And it would be the most beautiful city in the world if it's not already. And, but that's the reason, Eddie. So. Yes?
Just by the way, every councils outside Greater Hobart been quite happy to take on the bus shelters. Launceston, that's for example. But moving on,
yes.
You mentioned that these artworks are potentially places where people can hang out. You only one example up there is seats. We're looking at a lot more work being done to make these places for people to be.
To solace
and stay. And stay.
Are you happy for me to respond to that? For example, the one that's out on the front lawns of council, next to the basketball court, it just makes the whole area feels safer. And we can definitely look at putting artworks in places where people can sit. If there's not seating there and it's a perfect place to encourage people to sit and stay, that's another word for
I'm
pause
thinking
and
about the other
ponder.
way around, though.
Yeah.
You're putting an artwork there. That's, I mean, an artwork on a wall. I mean, you may walk past, but there's nowhere to sit. You're just going to walk past.
Yeah, that's true. But a lot of the ones we will be installing, like the bus shelter, you sit there. Out on the front lawns, you can
You've got
sit
to
there.
catch your audience.
Yeah. Well, that's, you go where the people are. You're right. That's their
And it works both
audience.
ways.
Why don't you sign a mutual obligation agreement with schools, perhaps the fine arts departments at university, and say, I can give you a certain area and come up with some ideas for us? That would be great.
Yes.
45 plus.
And what's happening now is exactly what I'd love to see happen. The art is generating conversations about positive changes we can make in the community. So a collaboration with UTAS, primary schools, hospitals, nursing homes. So what's happening here today is what I want to see happen, because people get excited about art because it does have the power to bring people together.
Yes, and our mission is to restore pride. So we want everyone who lives, works, goes to school, invests, whatever, to be proud that they live in Glenorchy. Councillor Kendall.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks so much for the presentation. It's really great, Lisa. And yeah, my question I think has been asked, but just to clarify, for the artists that we don't know exist out there, like the emerging artists in our area, what's the right pathway to find us so they can let us know that they're an artist and they'd like to be featured in our mural artwork?
Yep, we're definitely looking at that. We are going to be social media, probably asking for people who are interested in being involved in future murals will be able to put forward their expressions of interest. So basically we're looking at Tasmanian artists who have a connection, they have an affinity with the city of Glenorchy. So it will be open to quite a broad cross-section of the community, particularly emerging artists. Yeah, Anastasia is an emerging artist whose artwork I showed before.
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks, Lisa.
Okay, all right, well, this is to bring the open workshop to a close, and would like to thank very much all the people in our gallery, and also like to thank anyone who's been watching online. I think it was quite an inspirational workshop and certainly one of the more enjoyable ones, and I'd like to hope that you'll watch us for the next one. Thank you very much.